Hi everyone, this is Yaffi Lvova, registered dietitian nutritionist with Baby Bloom Nutrition. And here's Daniel having a snack. Leftovers from breakfast, pumpkin pancakes. So today we're talking about enzymes. So it's kind of like the whole electrolyte thing. You've heard of enzymes, you've thrown around the word probably, but you don't really know exactly what they are. And sorry about the noise if this is coming through. Some pretty major house repairs going on that we're kind of living through. What are enzymes? Enzymes are biological catalysts produced by an organism to bring about or speed up a reaction. And I'm going to focus on the enzymes that are inside the digestive tract specifically because enzymes are all over your body. They're working in every cell. They help you function. So enzymes in general are made from amino acids, which are protein building blocks. If a protein is a Lego castle, the amino acids are the Legos. So they come together to build a larger structure. So the amino acids come together to build a larger protein, which is the enzyme. Enzymes break or build molecules. They can pull apart your Lego castle or put them together. I know I just messed up my analogies there, but you can just run with it. Enzymes are very specific. You have one enzyme to do one job within one small amount of time. So you have a particular enzyme to break down a particular sugar. But people tend to get really confused with that. So in digestion, different digestive enzymes are specific to different foods. And that doesn't mean you have bananas to break down your banana. No, it's not that. It's not like that. The banana is made up of different types of molecules, and you have different enzymes that break down those different molecules to smaller pieces that can then be digested and absorbed. So we have enzymes in our mouth, stomach, and small intestinal wall, and also some secreted from the pancreas into the digestive tract right after the stomach. And so your major categories of enzymes are proteases, which break down proteins, lipase breaks down fat, and amylase breaks down starch and the more complex sugars into glucose, which is your simple sugar. And that's what our body really functions off of. And those are just categories. You're going to have more specific under those umbrellas. So that's just an umbrella terms, and then they get more specific from there. We also have nuclease, which breaks down nucleic acid to nucleotides, but that's not as much in this conversation. There are also hormones and other compounds to help break down food mechanically and chemically. And when I say break down mechanically, let's talk about the stomach. The inside of the stomach is kind of like a washboard. So as you put food inside the stomach walls grate together, and it's like one washboard grating against the next, and that's to break down the food mechanically. That's to physically break it down. Then you have your enzymes and other compounds to help break it down chemically. And that doesn't happen as much in the stomach as in other places. Your food is really much more chemically broken down in the small intestines and really absorbed in the small and large intestines. And I'm going to get to why that's a really important point in just a minute. So do I need a supplement? Do I need to take digestive enzymes? Well, that's a complicated issue, and as with all of my naptime nutritions, my information that I give in this format is geared toward people with normal, healthy stuff going on. And digestive enzymes are definitely called for in certain disease states, specifically cystic fibrosis, pancreatitis, lactose intolerance even. And there are other disease states, pancreatic insufficiency, for example. Anything that prevents part of your body from secreting the enzymes that it's supposed to when it's supposed to might be a reason to have a digestive enzyme. Which digestive enzyme is also called into question. You can't just get a bottle of digestive enzyme and expect that it's going to work. It really depends on who you are, why you're taking it, what type of enzyme you really need to be making up for. So don't just go out and buy a bottle. You really need to speak to a professional first. So why would someone else want to take a digestive enzyme? Well, as we age, our digestive system is not necessarily what it was when we were 18. And there are reasons for that. One is stress. I always reference the inflammatory effect. Our diet and our lifestyle that we have now really contributes to an inflammatory condition, and that leads to all kinds of diseases. But in this particular conversation, it can lead to your body's ineffective production or secretion of enzymes. So in that case, if you're under a lot of stress, it may be beneficial to take a digestive enzyme. But again, that's something to really discuss with a professional. Use of digestive enzymes could also cover up a disease. You have to wonder if your system isn't working the way it should. You have to ask why. Why is your system not working? Why are you getting a ridiculous amount of gas? Why are you bloated every time you have dairy? You have to ask why and wonder what the underlying cause is, which is really where the professional comes in. Because if you were to have celiac disease and you're trying to cover it up with a digestive enzyme, you're really going to have a lot of the effects of celiac that you don't know about. And you're still going to feel those effects, even if you can somehow get the digestive issues to go away. There are other side effects that your body is still going to experience. Another one is SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. You can't cover up that with a digestive enzyme, but the problem is that if you just go and get a bottle and start taking it, you might feel some relief of symptoms, but that just leaves the disease process to go unchecked and wreak havoc in your body. So, coming back to that point again, third time, if you really think there's something wrong and you might benefit from a digestive enzyme, go speak to someone about it. I have references for naturopaths who can help you with that. I really like that route for this specific disease state. Okay, so this brings me to, why is it important to know that we don't really absorb food in the stomach and we don't really chemically break food down in the stomach? Well, food combining. Have you heard of it? There are all kinds of ways to reference food combining. And so sometimes you'll hear about, food combining to create a whole protein. For example, mixing beans and rice will make a whole protein. That's not what I'm talking about. This is a different concept of food combining. That does have validity. Maybe I should do a different segment on that entirely, though. What I'm talking about is when you have this philosophy that if you have an acidic fruit, and a protein at the same time, then your body can't handle that and that you're going to get food rotting in your stomach. Okay, well, let's talk about that specifically. Food is not going to rot in your digestive tract. Food sits in your digestive tract from ideally between 10 and 24 hours, sometimes a little bit longer. It's not enough to rot. And it's not going to rot in your stomach specifically because your stomach has a pH of about 2 to 3. And I've spoken about this before in acid-base reference. I did an nap time nutrition on the acid-base diet. And I forgot what I actually called it. Anyway, your stomach is very acidic. It is not amenable to bacteria growing, and rot is a side effect of bacteria growing. And that's when you have something sitting in a warm, dark, damp environment with the right pH, you're going to get some rot. That is not your digestive tract. So the idea is with food combining is that if you have your acid fruit and your protein, then all of your enzymes are going to rush to digest this fruit and the meat is going to rot in your stomach. It's not going to happen. Food sits in your stomach for a very short amount of time. It's rubbed, broken down mechanically, scrubbed of all pathogens so that it can proceed through your digestive tract without harming you, preventing food poisoning, etc. So I also mentioned earlier in the broadcast that enzymes are very specific. The enzymes that digest meat are not going to be the ones that digest fruit. Your fruit, you're going to have amylase, for example. Your amylase family is going to digest your fruit to break it down into more simple sugars. Protease and your lipase are going to break down your fat. And those aren't even really in the stomach. You have a little bit of protease in the stomach, but the rest of that goes on later in your digestive tract, in your small intestine mainly. So it doesn't make sense. As another RD, and I love her work, as of this morning, I've read a lot of it, Tamara Duker-Fruman says, the only concern that you're going to die with food, the only concern that you're going to have food rotting in your stomach is if you die mid-meal. Yeah, if you die in the middle of a meal, that food is sitting there, that's going to rot because your stomach is losing that acidity, and that's a ridiculous argument to have anyway. So another idea with food combining is that you can't mix meat and grains. The enzymes and the pH levels will neutralize each other, and that's really not a valid argument. That does not happen. your stomach acid is 2 to 3. It will stay that way. Your stomach will secrete hydrochloric acid in order to maintain that acidity. And your body really can manage digesting 2 things at once. I promise. And as I'm saying this, I'm going to make the same disclaimer that Ms. Fruman made in her article, that there are certain cultural reasons to combine foods. For example, I don't mix meat and dairy, but this is not a nutritional reason. It's a cultural reason. And it's a completely different conversation. I respect that 100%. We're talking strictly science here. You don't want to underrate the body's ability to multitask. Your body, we've been developing for how long? We've been around on this earth for how long? And all of these different animals and all these different organisms that live, we know how to digest our food, and it does not take micromanaging what's on your plate in order to appropriately. It doesn't take micromanaging your food in order to appropriately digest what's on your plate. I love that. If you have excessive flatulence or a sudden increase in gas or foul smelling anything, you really want to see a professional. And here's the question: what if it works for me? What if food combining works for me? Great. If something works for you, go with it. But I'm trying to give you the freedom here to understand how the body works. If it works for you, more power to you. Everybody's different. Everybody's chemical makeup is slightly different. Chances are that if something like the food combining diet worked for you, it could be for another reason. It could be that you're paying more attention to your diet. The food combining diet takes an enormous amount of energy and thought. And when you start putting that kind of energy and thought into your diet, you could be benefiting from some kind of different reason. So I'm just going to put that out there. So join me next week, Nap Time Nutrition, 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I think we're still at 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. New Zealand, Wednesday mornings. And I have a whole list of things I'm going to discuss. I have some fun guest speakers lined up for future Nap Time Nutritions, but as always, if you have any input, comments, suggestions, or topic recommendations, please feel free to comment below, message me, and come to Toddler Test Kitchen. It's awesome. We made salad yesterday with homemade dressings, and the kids had a blast, and it was colorful and crunchy. So I hope to see you there. I do private and small group counseling, and come hit me up if you have any questions. Thanks, and see you next week.